Hello everyone and welcome back to DNQ Football. Welcome back to us as well. It seems like it's been a long time since we've had one of these Zoom calls. Ryan, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. You didn't tell me we were going to start, so I was my start of that video was me sipping some water.
Enjoyably.
Yeah, very much so, very much, mate. I'm good. I'm good. What about yourself?
I'm not too bad. I'm not too bad. The last video that I did, I was unwell. I had a cold, so
Yes,
I sounded a bit like
yes.
this.
Yeah, you did.
I'm glad to be through that now. I'm back to sounding relatively normal. And since then, I've also got the shirts up. Which is
Yeah, I was going to
looking
comment on
good.
what an incredibly cool looking backdrop you've now. This I have to say, mate, and I'm letting the side down. Yours looks legit like football
DNQ
kind of
HQ.
YouTube. Yeah, it looks good, man. It looks good. Do you want to talk people through those shirts?
Yeah, I can do. So I just need to work out my left and rights because it's in the mirror. So here we've got my Indonesia Bambang Pamungkas shirt, which was a gift, of course, from you. And then we've got the signed Billy Forbes shirt from his time at Austin, which was a gift from my missus. And actually, just out of shot here, no offence to the man, but we've got the Hamilton shirt that was a gift from Marvin Hamilton himself. So we have quite the collection, actually. It's the start of a collection. I do also have my Turks and Caicos Islands shirts just up here on the wall, but my camera work's already been top class, so I think I'll just leave that. But you get the idea. You get the idea.
Guys,
you are
no, mate,
letting
the
the side
setup.
down.
Yeah, I know. The only sort of thing that I've got to shout out over my shoulder is, can you see this?
I can. Are you in a
Can you see
celebratory
this?
mood? Yeah.
Apparently, clearly. And then this, I don't know how. Can you see that?
That's
I've
just
got
out of
like
shot. Oh, is that a dinosaur
oh,
ruler
okay.
that
It is. I've
people
got a
can't
jug
quite
of pen.
see?
I've got a jug of pens. I mean, yeah. The thing is, I've actually got some cool shirts that I think I can have here and over this shoulder. I just need to, yeah, nice.
Who
I
needs
just need
that
to
now?
fix up, and I don't know. You're obsessed. I just need to fix up and get them on the wall.
You do need to get them on the wall.
But there's been a fair bit of footballing goodness, and that's how I'm gonna sum it up. Footballing goodness has happened since our last video together. And this we're kind of treating this as a little bit of a chinwag, a bit of a catch up, aren't we? And actually, a lot of this footballing goodness, something that we've not really covered on the channel much, has come in the shape of the women's Euros, women's AFCON, women's OFC Nations Cup. So good to see, mate. Where do you want to start with that? Should we start with the thing that in England, the thing that's made all the headlines here is the victorious Lionesses in the women's Euros. Now, that kind of tournament mania. Is mania about?
Yeah,
I don't think it is.
it's mania. I would say it's mania.
Swept, mate. It swept, didn't it? Like very swiftly. As soon as they crept, when they got through the groups, and then when they got past Spain, I think suddenly everyone was like, "Oh, hold on,
Yeah.
hold on," and then unbelievable win against Sweden in the semis, and then that victory at the weekend to bring, as people are saying, to bring football home, mate, to win the trophy. What did you think of? What did you think of the whole tournament actually? And then, we are going to focus on England's victory. And what did you think of England?
Well, I didn't catch the first game that we played, which was against Austria, which was the 1-0 win. But I did then watch every other game.
That's a bit of a bland one, to be fair. The first one was a bit bland.
I kind of missed the first one, and all I heard after that was a bit of rumblings of, they're not that good, are they? They only beat Austria 1-0. As you get, with a lot of people chucking their opinion in on women's football. But from that point on, like you say, getting out of the group wasn't going to be too much of a struggle. The win against Norway surprised a lot of people because of the scoreline. Northern Ireland actually were very good in the final group game at trying to keep England out, but England just had this habit throughout the whole tournament, really, that as soon as they scored, it's like that self-belief just came through and through. Like, I don't know, men's or women's team, this is the first kind of tournament where I've really been, apart from the World Cup that the USA won in women's football, this is the first women's football tournament or set of tournaments with WAFCON and the OFC Nations Cup that I've really been switched on to and paying lots of attention to. And like, this is probably the first time in a major competition that I've seen England do what they did against Spain, which is actually they were 1-0 down till the 84th minute, and then somehow equalised, and then somehow went on to win. It's almost like it's normally the opposite is what happens. Like happened in the World Cup semi-final for the men's when we ended up losing to Croatia. Like what happened in the Euros final when we conceded late and then lost on pens to Italy. You know, so it's very enjoyable to actually have a team that just didn't have that hoodoo and could actually turn it around. And the final was a brilliant display of how far the women's games come, and will hopefully continue to go, because the quality was really, really high. The games were really enjoyable. No diving, no cheating, no rolling around. None of that. It was just full-blooded entertainment, and I thought that we were slightly lucky to get the win against Germany, who could have won it in normal time. But once we went 2-1 up, the, pardon my language, shithousery to keep the ball in the corner for the last 7 or 8 minutes of that game.
Yeah, it was insane.
I was delighted.
I didn't actually think we played that well against Germany, you know, especially second half. Like, considering how well we played throughout the rest of the tournament, especially in that semi-final against Sweden. And I thought, like, the England's key players, Hemp in particular, who was
so good in the other games.
So good. And it's Kira Walsh, isn't it, the midfielder?
CDM,
who's really tidy, and she played a lovely ball through for Toon to score the opener for England in the final. But I thought she wasn't as... I mean...
The Germany midfield is good, though.
It is, and it's worth saying. I'm just going to say, and I didn't think she'd play as well. I didn't think she played as well as she did in the semi-finals, and that's because she was incredible in the semi-finals. And watching these women, the technical ability, the pace, their tactical kind of understanding, mate. I was just, it was just incredible, mate. And if that's not I don't think women's football will ever be the same again from now on, mate.
No.
That's,
and it shouldn't be.
It was getting good investment, and it was progressing for sure. But that will have supercharged it. They started selling tickets for the Women's England game against USA that's coming up in a couple of months. I don't know when that is. And
October.
The website crashed because people were trying to buy tickets, which is just amazing. It's so good, and it was weirdly emotional watching them like celebrate and lift the trophy. I kind of was, mate. I really was. I was just happy and amazed to see an England side do it, and especially at Wembley. It would have been amazing to be there, man.
Yeah, so I obviously I was so nervous throughout the game, and you know when it's like I was getting to the point of being, obviously it kicked off at 5 UK time, so I had lunch, but it was getting to that point where it was like, oh, am I a bit peckish now? But when you're nervous as well, you're like, am I just feeling really nervy, or am I actually a bit hungry? I'm not sure.
I can't ever eat when I'm nervous.
No, me neither. Yeah. I just can't. I just feel so unsettled. But I tell you, there's a few things that were really good to see in it, and one kind of interesting thing. So the main thing that was great to see is actually the post-game celebrations, and whilst I totally get how in like the men's game they're all media trained, and I'm sure they are in the women's game at that level as well, it was nice to just see some enjoyment rather than like the professional answers sometimes. You know, they've just won a major tournament. You can enjoy it. And the other random thing, which I was sort of talking through as I said to my missus, the 2 major tournaments that England have won, men or women, have both been in a year that ends with the same digit, either 1966 or 2022. They've both come at Wembley. Yeah. They've both been against Germany, and they've both been wins in extra time.
It's very true.
Actually, quite a few similarities there. But no, I thought that the whole tournament was brilliant. It's kind of re-established that football in this country, international football in England, can go off without too many issues with the crowd, which is a good thing. You know, I know that the atmosphere is not quite the same sometimes as a men's game, but you also don't get with that the absolute morons that you get at England games for the men's team as well, which is honestly preferable. But yeah, all in all, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, it was. There was just there's a few. I just want to quickly, before we kind of move on to the other bits. a couple of things that stood out for me, or kind of just other things. It's probably worth mentioning while we're talking about England and how amazing it was to win. It's Pop. I'm pretty certain her name's Pop.
Yeah,
Pop,
yeah.
The German, the best player for Germany, was injured in the warm up. That was a huge slice of luck, and also it was amazing to watch. So one of the other teams, I was so impressed by Spain. Like, it was the way that they, and I know we beat them in the end, but the way that they kept the ball.
Yeah.
I think that might have been the game that I really was like, oh, there is real quality in this one.
It was a great game.
Because you'd seen England beat Austria. It was a little bit scruffy. We got the win. England players were definitely nervous, you could tell. Then we absolutely battered the other two. The other two games, 8-0, 5-0. That's right, isn't it? That's correct, I think. And then we had Spain, and it was like you're watching them, and it was like, oh, they're a good. And it just, it was, mate. As you said, great spectacle, great tournament. So buzzing that England won, and I can't wait to see where women's football for England, like the Lionesses side, where they go from here. Hopefully targeting a World Cup. So, but it's not been the only women's tournament.
No.
There's been the women's AFCON.
Yeah. There's
been, I mean, probably more kind of unknown would be the women's OFC Nations Cup.
Yeah.
It's been a period of seeing women's football back on the international stage. Can we just talk about women's OFC Nations Cup? Amazing.
Yeah. I'm
going to very quickly just sidestep to say, be great to have some sort of tournament like this for the men's as well, because this tournament, 9 teams competing. It's quite funny. They have 9 teams competing, 3 groups of 3, and then 8 of those 9 then go through to the quarterfinal, and they work it out that way. But it's so good to see these nations playing football matches again, and a region that doesn't play enough games, especially in women's football, but kind of across both men and women's. It's kind of, it'd be great if they did more of this sort of tournament. And ultimately, PNG ran out winners, their first ever victory. Thoughts and sort of summative notes on that one. Just great to see. Are we both wearing Boohoo Man tops, by the way?
Yes, we are. Yes. We're talking about women's football, so
maybe
that was probably not the best thing. No. I'll tell you what, I'll put a WO in front of that, because it's absolutely deserved.
I just clocked. Yeah, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, the weird irony.
Yeah.
I thought that the OFC Nations Cup, firstly, it was absolutely fantastic to see a Tongan side compete following the natural disaster there. It's such a shame that the men's side, understandably, weren't able to participate in World Cup qualifiers, with the nation really in a difficult spot. So it was great to see a Tonga side, which ultimately went out to the champions, PNG, as well. You know, really, again, I was seeing all over, particularly like Facebook, with the Solomon Islands fan base, of course, who lost in the semi-finals. Like, there's so much passion in that region for the women's game as well, and it's been so good to see. And like you say, with PNG winning, and similar across WAFCON and the women's Euros as well, it must be quite nice for these sides to celebrate some success. Like, PNG the men's side did very, very well. I get that, but PNG have won this tournament now. That's a trophy, you know. And it's like, we'll move on to women's AFCON as well. But, you know, again, it's nations. But because it's at its kind of early stages, the women's game, it's a bit more up for grabs. And the nations that really go, you know what, we're going to give this a good go. We're going to invest in women's football as we should, properly, from grassroots level up. They get the success. And it's that then snowballs, I think. Because this PNG side, it's going to be, okay, great, what success for the country that is. So let's continue to invest in that. You know? And then the side gets better and better and better. I think it's been great, you know, fantastic to see these nations which barely compete in any form playing again. The Nations Cup in OFC is phenomenal. And yeah, just generally really good to see these teams compete, and really good to see the buzz around it like there was with the World Cup qualifiers. You know?
Yeah, mate, I couldn't agree more. And then sort of third and last, but by absolute no means least, South Africa with a women's AFCON victory. I think it's their first win as well. I should have looked at that before getting on this call, but I'm pretty sure it's their first win. And they beat, so the whole thing was hosted in Morocco, and they beat the hosts Morocco in the final. And kind of, I guess that it's a little bit of a copy and paste comment, isn't it? Around just great to see a major international tournament for women, and South Africa to come out. And I was looking at the African teams that have qualified for the 2023, I think the 2023 Women's World Cup, and South Africa have qualified. I don't know if it was because of this win, actually. Should have looked that up. I apologise, but they've only played at one World Cup before 2019. Yeah. They're back there for 2020. So it's just like, so I now have, and it's shame on me for not have sort of have piqued an interest before this point. I'm going to hold my hands up, but what is South Africa going to be like at the 2023 Women's World Cup? Like they're now women's AFCON champions. So it's just, mate, it's just great. It's just great to see, isn't it? And it feels like we've been treated to a hell of a lot of international football across men's and women's this year already, and that's not even, we've got the biggest one to come still at the end of the year with the Men's World Cup.
Yeah, and ultimately, like you said, it's you could say, and you see all sorts of comments on social media, oh, shame on you for not kind of knowing about women's football or paying that much attention to women's football earlier. And you know what? That's right. That's absolutely right. And I suppose it's one of those things, you look at the success that the Women's Euros had here and the kind of hype that it gathered. But I was keeping tabs on the Nations Cup as well, just through really just having that kind of touch point with all the nations on things like Facebook and things like that, and the OFC media team as well from when I was out in Doha, just seeing the results come in and really taking an interest in it. And all these tournaments that have happened in the last couple of months have really piqued my interest now in the women's game and on the international stage. And it's great because we're gonna really see the women's game reach new heights across the next X amount of time, and the World Cups and things like that are going to really be of great quality. And we're also going to see some really interesting sides win, because whilst obviously the Men's World Cup is a fantastic occasion, there's only a handful of teams that have ever won it, and it'd be hard for that to change this time around in 2022 in Qatar. And obviously, FIFA, the whole tournament being in Qatar, it's just a whole interesting piece. But we've really been blessed to... We're still not that long into D&Q. We're about a year old now, aren't we? We should probably celebrate our birthday about a year old, and like the channel's still relatively...
When was the first video?
I don't know.
Was it?
It's probably worth checking.
Yes, yeah. You keep talking. I'll have a little scroll.
But yeah, I mean, we were around the time of our kind of first birthday in D&Q, and we've been treated to some excellent men's football, and for these women's tournaments to come around now as well. And it's like, okay, yeah, this will be featuring on D&Q. We will be talking about the women's game more because it deserves the attention, it deserves the analysis, and I can't wait for more international football, men and women's, and to just keep talking about it, mate.
We our first video, which was when you did your kind of introducing did not qualify, was on the 5th of August 2021. So we're not yet at a year. The first sort of proper show, the Kettle On that I'm looking at now, we did on the 20th of August. And that was the first kind of proper video with both you and I on it. And less than a year. Jesus, I thought it had been a year actually. That's kind of mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's kind of mad. That we're sort of in that time.
Still new.
Yeah. Still very new, and we're just so grateful for anyone that. I mean, how long we've been doing this video? 25 minutes. If you've got to this point in the video, then you're sort of one of the small kind of
DN community.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. DN community. It
works.
It works. If you say it really quickly, it works.
Community.
I mean, yeah, but if you've made it this far, then fair play. You're. That's what we're here to do, isn't it? We love it. We love talking about it when we get the chance to really get stuck in. And good opportunity to say, if you've made it this far, why the heck haven't you hit like and commented below? Just say hello in the comments. It helps the algorithm. Yeah, but to be fair, if someone's made it this far in the video, they're gonna have probably subscribed. Yeah. So what else? Is there anything else we wanted to touch on? We just do a little bit of a football chin wagger.
Well, the only other thing is to check out our socials as well, because we're going to be we're looking to anyway. As of
we've only got a couple of days, mate.
I know.
We're recording this Tuesday night. When is this going to go? Is it going to go out tomorrow? Yeah.
Yeah, this will go out tomorrow. So
we need to set up. We'll have a couple of days. We'll have a couple of days.
The Fantasy Football League.
Yeah. We're going to set up a DNQ FPL Fantasy Premier League. So let's blast that all over social across the next 3 days. Let's get that set up. We're not expecting many people to join. We've only got a small DN community, and we don't know how many of you enjoy the Premier League or play FPL. So if that's up your street, all the information will be on probably Twitter, Facebook, and we might actually. I think you can post on YouTube, can't you? You can do a little.
You
post,
can. I'll do a post.
So we'll do all of that. So get involved with that. Is it worth talking? Actually, no. That's good. That's good. I feel like that's good. We'll save some of this other bits for some other videos. But that was all I want to talk about football wise. What is it worth actually? Just very quickly talking about the World Cup, because we spoke about this, didn't we? Are we going to cover the World Cup? It's not kind of DNQ territory, but actually, it's the biggest football tournament on the planet. We're going to be covering the World Cup.
I think that basically, we've been doing this, as you know, for like a year now, and we've been treated to some excellent Minnow Nation tournaments, Minnow Nation football, and I think we're looking at it now and we're going, you know what? With the amount of big tournaments coming up, men and women's, we're just going to cover all international football with a focus on the Minnow teams competing.
Yeah.
You can't be an international football channel and then at the end of November, when we're at the final group stages of the World Cup, be posting a video on CONCACAF Nations League highlights. It's the World Cup. No disrespect to the CNL, but we're going to be focusing on the World Cup, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But on the minnows, but
I feel that when we do, when we hopefully we do some stuff around the World Cup and hopefully get some more eyes on the channel, that then in turn gets more eyes on the Minnow Nations, which is kind of the reason that we do this anyway. So yeah, because we've had a few people ask about what we're going to do for the World Cup. We were kind of a bit unsure, weren't we? Kind of like, we're not sure if that's. Sorry, I knocked my desk then, which is why it looked like I was having we're having an earthquake here. Not the case. And we've had a thought about it. We're gonna do. Also, we'll do the good stuff, previews, chats. We'll do quite a few watch-alongs as well. Actually, I'd quite like to get into the habit of doing more watch-alongs. Actually, I quite like those. It's a little bit of a good opportunity to chat things through and have people join us. It's always good fun.
Absolutely. As Ryan's already said, if you got to this point in the video, congratulations. I hope you've enjoyed it, and don't forget to like, subscribe and comment as well. We'll be posting on socials about FPL, and we'll get back on the Instagram hype for the spotlights and star players and things like that. And anything else from you, Ryan?
Absolutely nothing. Great to be back doing some videos, mate. Let's do it again very soon.
Let's do it again soon. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.